This is Hank Bean from Crash Course Economics. Today we will be learning about supply and demand. We'll be learning about the shifts, determinants, and differences between the movement along the curve and the shift of the curve. So, me from the past, do you have any fairly questions?
Mr. Bean, I have a question.
Yes,
What is supply?
What is supply? Oh, that's a very, very good question, possibly. Supply is the amount of a project that producers are willing and are able to make available at numerous possible prices during a specific time. Remember, profits motivate businesses. So, what does, we were talking about graphs and stuff. So, what would a supply curve look like? It just, let me have a whiteboard. That's what it is. This motion.
Mr. Bean?
Yes, me from the past?
Well, that's all good, but what's demand?
Demand? That's a very good question. I don't know why you didn't ask that earlier. But first, before we could talk about all these things, we need to first talk about what a market is. A market includes both supply and demand. So a market is an institution, well, basically it just brings together buyers and suppliers. That rhymes. See? I'm epic. So law of demand states that when the price of a good rises, the quantity demanded for the good falls. So what a demand graph looks like, quite simply, just looks like just like that. Yeah. So yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes. Me from the past?
Are we going to do the thought bubble today? That's my favorite part.
Well, we don't have the budget for the thought bubble. Remember? I mean, how much money do you have left in the bank? $2 for, hey, this is thought bubble. So let's say we're going to draw like a market graph. Market, what do you think?
Mango.
Mangoes. Wow, mangoes are too mainstream. Let's
Fine, top hat.
Top hats. Okay. So the mango for top hats, it would just look like
The mango for top hats, Mr. Bean?
Yes, me from the past.
How can you have mangoes from top hats if top hats aren't made from mangoes?
Excuse me. Have you ever seen a mango top hat?
No.
Exactly. So how do you know that it can't be possible? First, we always want to label it. This is a simplified version of the graph. This is price. This is quantity. This pencil sucks. God. There we go. So, this is, as we see, this is demand curve. And this would be the supply curve. So this is what the equilibrium would look like. So, we need to mark our equilibrium quantity. So Q.
Mr. Bean, I have a question.
Yes, me from the past.
Are you sure the demand and supply are in the right thing? I think they might be switched.
Shut up.
Ah.
So, actually, I actually made that mistake before. So, there we go. So, this is just a simple, don't ignore that. This is just a simplified version of a market of top hats.
So, Mr. Bean,
Yes.
is there supposed to be squiggly lines? What does that represent?
That represents mistakes, son. And you never want to do them. That's why you always want to do it in pencil.
Okay, Mr. Bean, but what happens if you increase the supply? What happens to the graph?
What happens if you... That's a very good idea. First, we need to talk about scenario. So, do you know the determinants of supply, my boy? Or demand?
No.
You don't? Well, you suck. Well, let's review it.
Let's go to thought bubble.
No, we're not going to thought bubble. Okay. So, the determinants of demand. Increase or decrease of consumer income.
Mm-hmm.
The price of the substitute in consumption.
What do you mean by substitute, Mr. Bean?
So, let's say, well, let's give an example. Let's say, chicken or something.
Mm-hmm.
A substitute of that could be tofu or pork or something, you know? That's a substitute.
I guess.
Price of complement in consumption, which would be like stuff people enjoy having or eating or consuming together.
Mr. Bean, what would be an example of that in everyday life, sir?
Like an example, it would be peanut butter and jelly, you know?
But I'm allergic to peanut butter and jelly.
You are? Then another example would be honey and butter. Tastes really good together. Trust me, just try it. Real butter. Don't try like the fake, like weird butter. Okay. Consumer taste and preferences, expectations of what's going to happen, and the number of buyers. Now remember, price does not shift the demand curve at all. Price simply just moves up the curve. So, where was our cheap example here? So, increase of price, like say it was like here, now it's going to be right here. It doesn't, there's not a new supply curve at all. It's just increase.
It's so like it moves along the line?
Yeah, along the line, exactly.
So if you increase one of those deterrents of demand, it increases the supply?
Supply? Well, we're talking about demand here, sir.
Ah.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So that's why you want to know, like, what products, what, like, problem you're doing. So, say, you know, I'll give you an example right now. Let's say, in the market of, top hats. Oh, I should probably review the determinants of supply first.
Oh, yeah.
The determinants of supply, oh, this is the wrong packet. See, who's our editor? Do we even have an, you're my editor.
Me?
In the past, you suck. See, I was about to say my editor like cut this out, but I guess we don't have the budget for that. So, the determinants of supply. There's substitutes in production, which is basically saying substitute in consumption, but it's production. You know what production is, right? I assume you do. Complements in production, technology to make the production or help the production, the price of an input, productivity, taxes, producer expectations, and the number of suppliers in the industry. Price, once again, does not...
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
what's an industry?
Industry? You're getting a little off topic here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bean. That's true.
Okay. So, once again, price does not shift the curve. It only moves along. Yep. Okay. So, let's say I have an example right now. You want to do an example? Do you want to do an example?
Sure, Mr. Bean.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is our standard hillbilly market graph, right? So, let's say the price of plastic in cheaply made top hats increased. What would the supply do? Well,
A little Doctor Who reference there, Mr. Bean.
yeah.
So what was your question again?
Okay, so let's say let's say in this case we're talking about cheap top hats, and they're made out of plastic. Okay, if the price of plastic increases, what would happen to the market of top hats?
Well, to the market of top hats.
Well, shut up, me from the past. Do you want me to explain or not?
Yes.
You want me to explain?
Yes.
Okay. So, we first got to determine if this is a supply or demand question. So, let's think about it. The consumers only think about the top hats, right? They don't really care about plastic.
No, they don't.
They don't. So that would be the suppliers, right? So it would be a supply question. And this is going to be, and since the price of plastic increases, the number of inputs at their top hat will increase. Will decrease. I'm sorry. They will not supply that much as they were to. So we would label this as 2. This is equilibrium number 2. And that, as we can see, the quantity equilibrium will decrease. And let's see what happens to our price. It's a little ambiguous though, but we can just say like maybe like a small increase. So, God, I need a magnet here. small. Any other questions, sir?
No. Is that it for today's lesson?
No. Well, now we gotta do another one. So.
Mr. Bean.
Yes.
I have to go to an opera today.
A what?
An opera.
A what?
An opera, Mr. Bean.
Opera?
Yeah.
Why? Does that have anything to do with what we're talking about?
No, Mr. Bean.
Exactly. So, me from the past, you need to, tone down a little bit. Okay, so, now let's go. Yes. Okay. So now let's do another question. Let's say, times have been hard for one producer, one consumer, and they were thinking about buying top hats. But times that, they've been getting 2 cents a day, not that much money. So how would the demand, times been actually not just for one consumer, let's just say the whole world, okay? So the whole world is making
Mr. Bean.
Yes.
Isn't this a bit over the top?
Shut up. This could happen. This could happen. Anyway, so, yeah, it might be over the top, but that's the kind of person we are, so, you're kind of a hypocrite, me from the past. So, anyways, so, the times have been hard for many, consumers, and they were thinking about getting top hats, right? So, the top hats are regularly priced. Oh, we should just draw a new graph here. But the top hats are regularly priced, but they're making only like 2 cents a day, so, how would the demand change? You want to hazard a guess? Well, pause the video. Think about it. Had you time to think about it? Probably not, because I don't know what you're doing here. But let's just draw another supply graph. Or not supply, market graph. Market. Okay, I'm just going to write market, but we'll find all the market up top hats.
Mr. Bean. You're writing with invisible ink, Mr. Bean.
Oh, let me just come closer. So, this would be supply. This would be demand. Equilibrium. QE. PE. So, now,
Mr. Bean.
Yes,
Isn't PE a class you take in school?
it is a class, but remember when we established that PE is, a term called price equilibrium?
Whatever, Mr. Bean.
Okay, fine. So, the demand in this situation will be lower because, hard times, so D2. Why do we have a budget for good pens? Oh my god.
Mr. Bean.
Yes.
We could ask our viewers to pitch in a little.
Oh, yeah.
Visit crashcourseeconomics.com and buy our t-shirts to help support us. Thank you.
Okay, so this would be E2, QE2, PE2. This is what the demand, well, let me just draw this a little better. This is how it would change. So, obviously, quantity is decreasing, and prices also. Now, think about this. Let's say the price of top hats increased. What kind of a shift would that be?
The price in top hats increases.
Yes. So, as we learned, price has nothing to do with it. It just moves along this curve. Don't ask me why this paper is wrinkled. Just going through hard times. But it would just move toward this, we would just move along the curve. And, yeah. So, thank you for watching. Our editor, we don't have one. And, okay. And, actors, I'm the only one here. I guess me from the past counts, but thanks for watching and make sure to donate.
Thanks, Mr. Bean.